This roadside tree has everything to make a great photo. It has shape, light, and presence. But the raw is too dark. I'll work on it in Camera Raw first and then take it into Photoshop where it will come alive. So we begin with some basic adjustments. First, I change the profile from Adobe Color to Adobe Landscape. We can see that shadows were lifted a little bit. Then we click Auto and see what Photoshop can give us. It did a decent job, but we need to adjust ourselves. So in terms of exposure, we'll leave it as is. Let's reset contrast to 0. Highlights and shadows, we'll leave it as is. Whites, reset to 0. And in terms of blacks, let's press Alt key and move the slider until all those colored dots disappear and we only see white. So from this point forward, all those clipping shadows just disappeared. Next, we go to Detail tab. Let's press Alt again and move our masking slider to around 80. Let's raise the details. Let's bring down the radius. And for sharpening, we'll set to 70. And also let's select Remove Chromatic Aberration. And now for cropping, with vertical photos, I like to do a 4:3 ratio when possible. And looking at it, I think I'll leave it as is. And now since we have two photos, because this needs to be photo stack, I want full focus from the beginning of the road till the tree. Let's copy selected edit settings, check all, copy, and now paste into that second image. And now that the base looks right, let's refine it in Photoshop. This is one of my favorite photos, a road that could lead anywhere and this lone tree leaning into the river. The subject here is clearly the tree, and to make it stand out, I lowered the camera to about waist height. I also kept the old telephone pole in the frame. Since it tilts to the left, opposite to the tree, it creates a bit more, I can't explain it, but more space for the road. And I try also to balance it by leaving the same space on the left for the pole as on the right side for the tree. There are a couple of small distractions in the photo to be removed, but I leave those for the very end of the editing. So let's start refining this image. The first thing I'll do is to focus stack these two layers. Today, instead of using the TK9 panel, I'll do it the old way, with Photoshop's own options. First thing, we need to select both layers. Then we come to Edit, select Auto Blend Layers, keep Stack Images and Seamless Tones and Colors. Click OK. And you'll notice that Photoshop created two black masks, where the black areas are covering the out of focus areas and the white areas are showing the focused areas. So if we zoom to 100%, we can see that our tree is pin sharp focused. And if we come down to the road, we can see also that the road is pin sharp focused. And since we don't need two layers, let's flatten them in one single layer. If you're enjoying this edit, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. Now, let's focus on the road. This is definitely not how I remember it. It needs more texture, more contrast. So I'll add a curves adjustment layer and grab the end picker, and let's select a bright area and move a little bit higher, and then select a dark area and move a little bit lower. You can see how we completely change how that road look like. It seems the road now become way too much saturated. So let's add a hue saturation. And let's lower the saturation to around -18. Let's see, before, after. Let's do a -22. Let's see, 22, 21. We can maybe go to 25. Perfect. Now we can select curves and create a group. Let's call this group road. And now since the curves is being applied to the entire image and we only want the road, let's put a black mask to that group. Let's select a white brush and we'll select an opacity of 100%. Let's lower the size of that. And let's just bring that change we did. Now you can see before, after, and it's quite a difference there. That road now, it's beautiful road to see. Now let's work on the tree. I'll create a mask and we'll use this button here to create a color mask. We click on it and we'll select a brighten color here. Let's see, maybe this one seems to be bright enough. Let's click OK. So you can see how the sunrise light is hitting the tree here, but it's a little bit too dark. So let's try to brighten a little bit more so we can bring that color to life a little bit more on the tree only. So I think I'll leave it as is. So let's apply it to a curves layer. And now let's create a dodge layer. Move that mask to the dodge, delete the curves. And now we select a color brush and we'll select that same color. And now let's brighten, let's put 100% brightness and let's select this color there, okay. And now let's, since we're protected by the mask, opacity at 100% and let's paint that yellowish color on our tree. Let's enhance those ray of light that the tree is receiving from the sunrise. So we can see now from before, after is a little bit too much, but let's keep it as it is right now for now. And now let's lower the opacity to around 20%. And let's do the same for, let's bring a little bit of brightness to these. So we can see it's quite a difference. Now let's lower the opacity because it's a little bit too strong. And maybe, I don't know, maybe around 70%. Let's see, before, after. Let's leave it at 70%. And now let's look at the mask again. And you can see that that light, that sunrise light is hitting the road also. So we can't paint this area here also. So let's go back to our layer. And so let's make our brush a little bit bigger. So let's paint. So let's continue to opacity 20%. And let's paint this area. Give a little bit of that light, yellow light from the sunrise. So let's see, before, after, before, after. So it's hitting the road a little bit. So let's paint a little bit more. Before, after. Yeah, you can see a little bit more brighten. That's perfect. Now let's bring that orange color to the sky. And let's go create a luminosity mask. And so this is lights 1. Let's do lights 2. Better. Lights 3. I think lights 3 really target this area here. And let's try the yellow channel. That yellow channel did target a little bit more. So let's apply it to a curves layer. And now let's create a color layer. Now let's select an orange, maybe like this orange here. Select this orange. Let's click OK. Let's move our mask to that. Yes. Delete our curves. So you can see that our color layer is hitting those areas. Let's change from overlay to linear light. And let's lower the fill to around maybe, let's see, before, after. That is too much, like 10%. Before, after, before, after. You can see we are hitting a little bit of that orange. I think that orange is a little bit too much. Let's change to a brighten orange, maybe like this. Before, after. It's a very small difference. Maybe that is still too much. Let's do a 8%. 8% is perfect. I feel that the colors are overall a bit saturated. So let me add a hue saturation adjustment layer and lower the saturation overall. So let's see, maybe around 10, before, after, before, after. It's just a smidge lower. And also something I see, this area is a little bit dark. So let's create a dodge layer and let's reduce let's keep our opacity at 21% and let's make this area a little bit brighten because I feel it's a little bit too dark. Maybe here on the tree also. So before, after, it's much better now. And also this area here, make it a little bit lighter because I feel it also too dark. So before, after, perfect, much better now. I also feel that the sky, we need to dark a little bit the sky. So in TK9, let's select color luminosity and let's lower the cyans. So you can see we already lower those, that sky. So let's lower the cyans to around -50 and let's lower the blues to around -10, -8. So you have before, after. So we are darkened here also, which I like on the road since the shadow. Before, after. You can see the difference. So overall we have before. So we started here and we are here. It's quite a difference. It's becoming really beautiful at this stage. Maybe on the dodge size here, I need to lower a little bit the opacity. If we cut the opacity completely, let's put like 50%. 70%. Yeah, 70% feels a little bit more in tune. And this, I feel this is too bright. Let's see, before, after. Yeah, that is too bright. Let's down to 60. So we'll leave it at 40. 40 I think is the best. It's the best combination here, 40. So we started here and we are now here. Quite a difference there. Beautiful, beautiful image. So let's create a dodge layer. I want to brighten this area here on the left side where the sunlight is coming from. So let's change the blend mode to linear light. And let's select our color brush. And let's select maybe an orange, but very light orange, maybe like this. Let's click OK. Let's enlarge our brush. Let's click once, maybe like this. Yes. And now let's lower the fill like to 10% maybe. Let's see, before, after. 10% is way too much, too little. Let's do 20, around 20, before, after. So a little bit of glow there. And I feel it's glowing on the shadows. So let's do a blend diff and let's remove that from the shadows. Okay, I think it's better now. Yes, it's a very slight change, but I like it. And now let's do, it seems I do this in all photos, but I don't. Although all the videos I've been doing, I'm actually adding a Orton effect. And here, again, I feel like it needs a little bit of glow on the tree. So let's press our control, click on this button. So we flatten all our layers into one single image, which is also a smart object. So let's go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. So we'll keep the 30 pixels. And now open the camera raw filter. Let's raise the exposure a little bit. And let's raise the temperature a little bit also. The vibrance and the saturation. There, let's click OK. Now let's lower opacity to 0 and let's start build from there. So we have, usually I select 16 and now blend if and remove all the glow from the shadows since they do not glow. Okay, so we have before, after. So we added a little bit of glow and I like it. Very, very light glow. I don't like strong glows because it can make the photo a little bit fake. Maybe I can lower a little bit to 14. Beautiful. I like it. Awesome. And now, as I said, like I said in the beginning of the video, there are a couple of things, a couple of distractions that I do not like. So let's create an empty layer and let's select our remove tool. Let's zoom to 100%. So the first thing I want to remove is this line here coming from the telephone pole that I don't like to see. It's a distraction for me. And also these bushes, since the photo was taken with the camera on a lower position, it seems that the bushes are bigger, taller than the pole. So I want to remove these bushes also because they are acting as a distraction for me because they are not taller than the pole. Okay, let's come lower. I also want to remove this leaf here because my eyes are always looking at it because it's too bright. And now we come to the left of the image. And I also want to remove some of these twigs that are coming out of the image, which are distracting me. There was no way for me to remove this in the composition as I was taking the photograph. So I decided to remove it in post. And if we looked entire image. It's way better now. And also there are some stones on the road that are a little bit too brighten, where our eyes just keep banging on them. So we started here and we are now here. So it's quite a difference there. And by removing these twigs, just make a big difference, at least to my eyes. Beautiful, beautiful image. That's the edit of this roadside tree, from a dark raw to the moment I saw that day. If you enjoyed this, share your thoughts in the comments and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.